Now those are the only power questions that you will have, power problems that you'll have. And you'll only have one of them, if at all. Okay, the next one here is Ohm's law. It looks a lot like our pie chart, except now we have the voltage up here, and we have the current down here, where it was before. But now we have a new thing here called resistance. This is resistance. And Ohm's law shows us the relationship between voltage, current, and resistance. Resistance is the opposition to the flow of the electrons in a DC circuit. Okay? What formula is used to calculate current in a circuit? The current is equal to voltage divided by resistance. Okay? Current is equal to voltage divided by resistance. So if I want to find current, I take voltage and divide it by resistance. What formula is used to calculate voltage? To calculate the voltage, I multiply the current times the resistance. Okay, what formula is used to calculate resistance in a circuit? To find the resistance, I take the voltage and divide it by the current. Okay, so this chart, works exactly the same as the other one for finding the different values. Any question there? Okay, and now we get to some other problems here. What is the resistance of a circuit in which a current of 3 amps flows through a resistor connected to 90 volts? Okay, what do we know? We know the volts. We know the amps, don't we? We want to know the resistance. Okay, so we're going to cover that up. And to find that, we're going to divide the voltage by the current. We have 90 volts. We have 3 amps. Okay, if we divide 90 by 3, we get 30 ohms. And this ohms, again, is the name of another person who was a pioneer in electricity. Okay. What is the resistance in a circuit for which the applied voltage is 12 volts and the current flow is 1.5 amperes? We want to know the resistance, so we're going to cover this up with our thumb. Okay, and we're going to take the voltage, which is here, 12 volts, divided by the current flow, which is 1.5 amperes, and that's going to give us a result of 8 ohms when we make that division. Okay. What is the resistance of a circuit that draws 4 amperes from a 12-volt source? Okay, we want to know resistance. We don't know that, so we're going to cover this up. Okay. We know voltage, it's 12. We know current, it's 4. We divide 4 into 12, and we find that our resistance is 3 ohms. Okay, and this is as difficult as the math gets on the technician test.
That's good.
Yeah, most people are pleased with that.
Milt?
Yes.
Milt, what does resistance do?
Resistance, basically, it's where the work is getting done in the circuit. It's where the power is consumed in the circuit, like where the light and heat are generated in the light bulb. That's where the most of the resistance is in a circuit that has a light bulb in it. Okay, so it's basically where the work's getting done. We're going to take a look at some symbols here in a little bit, and you'll see a way to think of resistance. But it's where the work in the circuit is getting done. Okay, and typically there's heat being developed in a resistance, as well as whatever else you want, whether it's light from a light bulb or some other effect that you're trying to get. What's the current flow in a circuit with an applied voltage of 120 volts and a resistance of 80 ohms? We know the volts, we know the ohms, and we're going to cover that up, and we can see that we want to divide that 120 volts by 80 ohms. We get an answer of 1.5 amperes. Okay. What's the current flowing through a 100 ohm resistor connected across 200 volts? Okay, we know the volts, we know the resistance, and we're going to divide the resistance into the volts, and that will be 2 amperes. What's the current flowing through a 24 ohm resistor connected across 240 volts? Once again, we want to know the amperes. We don't know that, but we do know that we have 240 volts, 24 ohms. We divide this into this, and the result is 10 amperes. Oh, more math. Okay. What's the voltage? Let me pause here just a second. I have a tendency to jump into these too quickly, and he's trying to edit the videos before he puts them up. What's the voltage across a 2 ohm resistor if a current of 1/2 ampere flows through it? Okay, so we have a 2 ohm resistor. We have 1/2 ampere of current. If we multiply 1/2 times 2, we have 1 volt. Okay, 1/2 times 2 is 1 volt. What's the voltage across a 10 ohm resistor if a current of 1 ampere flows through it? Okay, we want to know the voltage. We don't know this, but we do know that we have 1 ampere and we have 10 ohms. If we multiply those together, we get 10 volts. Okay. What's the voltage across a 10 ohm resistor if a current of 2 amperes flows through it? Same problem basically with just slightly different values. We want to know the voltage. Okay, we know the current, 2 amperes. We know the resistance, 10 ohms. We multiply those together, and we find that it would take 20 volts to cause that current